the offseason news from the NBA. Never a dull moment. That proved true this weekend. The Suns trading Kevin Durant to the Rockets on Sunday for Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the 10th pick in the draft, and a bunch of second-rounders. Yesterday, here on Get Up, Chiney Ogwumike said KD is the perfect fit in Houston.
What you're getting is a player that is so perfectly tailored to your needs and your problems as Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, we all know the last 3 seasons with Phoenix, averaged 27 and shot 40% from 3. But I don't know if people understand that he shot 49% on jumpers, which was best in the NBA, 53% on mid-range, best in the NBA. Do you know where the Rockets rank in that category? 27th and 24th, respectively. 22nd in half-court offense. Horrible. Now we can finally pass this man the ball and let him cook.
So very interesting. So you've got Kevin Durant joining a team that was the 2nd seed in the conference last year. You have the other immortals of this generation. If you look at this generation of professional basketball, there were 3 players who have clearly been the best players in the sport, in no particular order: KD, Steph, and LeBron. So you got KD being added to Houston. You've got LeBron on a team now with Luka Doncic that people really liked last year, maybe bad matchup, maybe a little tinkering here and there. And you've got Steph on a Warriors team that looked like it might be ready to make a run in the playoffs before he suffered the hamstring. So Markieff, I'm going to start with you. If I told you that one of these 3 immortal stars has one more championship left in him, one and only one of those 3 guys is going to win another title, which one would you tell me it's going to be?
That's a tough one, Greeny, but I think I'm going to go with the king, right? Just being there, I'm going to go with LeBron. Just being there and seeing that, you know, how it works with Luka and LeBron. They had early success there, right? Like you just said, the matchup in the playoffs didn't work, but a lot of people had the Lakers winning the championship last year, if we remember that, right? Everybody's picking the Lakers to win. So prime time, the Lakers are in better position than all those teams, if you ask me. And the thing about them is they don't need to move so many pieces to get back to where they need to get. They need a big man or, you know, a big man and not give up so much for a big man. But I think it's LeBron James based off of the success that the Lakers had before that first-round matchup.
A reminder, the Lakers will have new ownership coming in here, and who knows how that'll change anything, probably for the purposes of the next few weeks, nothing. What is your sense of this, of these 3 guys, and which one is the closest to the ring?
Today, I got to say Kevin Durant, because not only do the Rockets have a pretty interesting roster, they have the capability to move up and get better with the other assets that they have, and as Chiney broke down yesterday, he is a very good fit for them. Let's revisit this in 2 weeks, because the Lakers have some things on their roster that they can trade to upgrade this roster, which they intend to do. They intend, I believe, to try to upgrade this roster. Let's see who the Lakers have as their starting center as we get through the trade season. By the way, Luka wants to see that too. He has an opportunity to extend his contract in early August. He's going to be watching to see what the Lakers do with their limited free agent options and also their trade. They have some expiring money as well that they can use. They are positioned to do something interesting. But today, I think the answer is Durant.
What do you think, Bob?
I think it's Kevin Durant, because whenever you make a trade for a top 10 player, and Kevin Durant is still a top 10 player, you are essentially gutting your roster with players and draft picks. And no offense to Dillon Brooks and Jalen Green and 10th pick in the draft, you still have Fred VanVleet, who the likelihood is that they're going to work out a new contract. Alperen Sengun, Jabari Smith, you still have the pieces there. And you have all these draft picks to go out and do another move. So for me, I look at it, Kevin Durant in Houston.
Well, all of those teams made the big acquisitions in this calendar year, right? The Lakers get Luka, the Warriors get Jimmy Butler, and the Rockets get Durant himself. So very interesting to watch those 3 going forward, these 3 aging legends, each of whom is still playing pretty close to the top of their game, even LeBron at the age of 40. Let's see what they have coming up this season. Meanwhile, when it comes to Durant, where all of this and how all of the player movement and everything else works for him from a legacy standpoint has also become an interesting subject. Yesterday on Unsportsmanlike, Chris Big Dog Canty said that KD's legacy will take a huge hit if he does not win a title in Houston. He even made an interesting player comparison. Give a listen.
The Kevin Durant situation in Houston feels a lot like the Aaron Rodgers situation with the Jets. Obviously, this won't be the place where he's had the most success in his playing career, but this will be the thing that we remember the most. If Kevin Durant doesn't deliver here, that will be the thing that stands out more so than anything else that he's accomplished in his career.
So it's an interesting little dynamic. Markieff is immediately shaking his head. I wanted to bring RC and Nick in on this, and we will, but Markieff, he's learned the little tricks of the show. When you come up on camera and you're doing this, I'm going to come to you immediately. Markieff, what issue do you have with that?
I'm tired of hearing the nonsense. I'm tired of hearing the nonsense, man. Come on, right? This guy's a two-time NBA champion. He's two-time MVP of the finals, 17-time NBA All-Star. I mean, how can the last 3 years of his career, regardless of what happens, define his legacy? That doesn't even make sense, right? And I'm just going to say it because I feel like a lot of analysts just want to say this. KD, we want you to be better in Houston, right? We want you to leave Houston a better place than what it was when you got there. We want you to compete for titles. We want you to do all the things that these people saying that you can't do, and leave it better than what it was in Phoenix, right? We don't want a Phoenix 2 times over, right? Because we thought they were wasted years of your career. We just want you to be better in Houston. I'm just going to say it for everybody.
That's great.
Instead of trying to diminish your legacy. And come on, man, these last 3 years, these 37 years old, how doesn't even make sense?
It's an interesting question. I fully understand and appreciate what you were saying. There is another side to this, RC. Again, I did an essay last week praising Kevin Durant up and down. So my credentials on this subject are well known. But you can look at the last, whatever it is, half dozen years, say he went to Brooklyn and that thing blew up and it was terrible. He went to Phoenix and that thing blew up and it was terrible. And now he goes to Houston. So let's see what happens here. What is the reasonable thing to say when it comes to the legacy of this all-time great, RC?
Well, I think the first thing is that I agree with Chris in some ways, and in other ways I don't. When you look at Kevin Durant's career and you compare him to those other 2 players you talked about, we could say, at least in my opinion, Kevin Durant's the best natural hooper, natural scorer I've ever seen in my life. And then you're going to compare only the 2 championships to the 4 of the other 2 guys and maybe say he underachieved with that level of talent that he has. But to say that Kevin Durant's career and the things that we remember are going to be what he does in Houston, that's absolutely false. This dude is absolutely one of the best we've ever seen. He went to the Golden State Warriors and he made them better. He was the best player on that team, no matter who they were before he got there. And they needed him to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. If he wears an inch smaller shoe, they have a win over the Milwaukee Bucks in the playoffs in Brooklyn without the other good players on his team. And now he goes to Houston, which is a totally different situation than the Jets because they were the 2nd seed, because they got to keep Thompson, because they still have Van Vliet. And I believe that they're going to compete. I believe it's going to be a team that's difficult to beat, and we know he's going to play well. I saw this dude 10 minutes before this trade was announced, and he was cool as the other side of the pillow. You know why? Because when it comes to putting the basketball in the hole, they ain't got nobody in the world we ever seen like him.
Yeah, obviously that's at Fanatics Fest where he was sitting on the stage when the trade became public, which was one of the truly surreal 2025 moments you could ever possibly have. Domonique, what about it? You hear this conversation, what do you think?
Well, I mean, as good as Kevin Durant is at basketball, that's how good Chris Big Dog Canty is at radio, because he had us all up in arms about that absurd statement that we'll be able to we'll remember Kevin Durant by how it goes in these last few years. I think one of the more interesting things, like I had this debate a couple days ago about how good Kevin Durant is now. If you just go back and look at his tape from 5-10 years ago, he was even better. It's so mind-blowing how great a player he was. I do think when his career is over, him being one of a kind, or at least first of his kind, and I know Wemby is a different type of animal altogether because he's even taller, but being this guy with all these skills and at this height was something that we imagined was around, and there were players who had ability that was close to it, but no one's ever been a damn 7-foot guard like Kevin Durant was. He was moving with that type of quickness and athleticism. It was absurd. So I think that's what we're going to remember about him, is how he is just one of a kind and kind of opened up this new era of true unicorns. But I think Big Dog is right. That is going to be a footnote in his legacy, is that he won his championships in Golden State and he bounced around at the end of his career a little bit. It's a little unique for a player that good to end his career that way.
Yeah, and I sort of, Wendy, do understand the vague comparison to Aaron Rodgers, because while Rodgers may not have redefined the position of quarterback in the NFL, he was the most talented guy at it for a very long time and didn't do the most high-level winning. And now here is KD at the end of his career on all of these teams. Windy, what's the right thing to say here?
Well, I do think there's a comparison that, Rodgers sort of forced his way to New York, and it came with a big new contract. KD certainly forced his way to Houston, and he's going to get a big new contract. It was so refreshing to hear RC there say what so many people, even within the NBA, will not admit, which is that the Warriors don't win those championships without Kevin Durant. I've got people I humongously respect, Hall of Famers, who talk about him being a rider in the back seat. They don't win in 2017 without him. That Cavs team was arguably the best team LeBron was ever on in Cleveland. In the 2018, it was only after Kyrie wanted out, after that team was broken by the great Kevin Durant in that final. So, no, his legacy is ironclad, set in concrete. And if he gets anything at this point, it's additive to what has already been a first ballot Hall of Fame career.
Very quickly, RC, go ahead.
Draymond Green is on the pivot today, and he talks about this exact thing when addressing LeBron's ring culture sort of comments. And he says, listen, we needed KD. We went out to get KD to win a championship, and that's used to discredit Kevin Durant. When if you watch those games, he was absolutely needed in order to bring home those trophies for the Golden State Warriors to have number 2 and number 3. And that's why he was finals MVP twice.